What's up guys, hope you're doing well. I wanted to make a realistic guide to chasing your dream. One video to go over as much stuff and give you all of the advice that I wish that I had back 4 years ago when I first started. Yeah, so a quick overview from my story. Now, I went to university to go study biology. 3 months in, I realized that this was just not gonna work for me. I then took a gap year, did as much as I could, experimentation, trying to figure out a way in order to leave university. So I did podcasting, I did video editing, I did 3D animation. And of those three, the 3D animation was the one that really stuck. And that's kind of how I've been able to make a living for the past 3.5 years, which is kind of crazy. I don't think anybody can do it, right? This is something that I think a lot of people get wrong. That, oh, anybody can do it. And first I want to outline the sort of characteristics that I think you need to have in order to be able to chase your dream. Because I think that there's a big lie going around at the moment, which is that anybody can win. And there's a logical fallacy, I guess, there, where if everybody wins, then nobody wins, right? Like if everybody became a millionaire, then being a millionaire would be meaningless. So I think it's really important to be realistic and understand that in order for you to win, that means that like 9 other people lost the race, right? Like you can't have a 100-meter sprint and have a gold medal without having a silver medal and a bronze medal. Like some people have to not do as well as other people in life. And you can't be the winner all the time. But if you do want to be the winner, then you have to have specific characteristics and specific qualities. And one of those qualities is a bit of a superiority complex. Now, I'm smiling a little bit here because I don't mean it in a way as in I see myself as higher as everybody else and nobody deserves my time, right? I mean it as in you've got to believe that you are better than the competition. A good example of this is Cristiano Ronaldo. And there's an old interview of him back when he was playing for Manchester United. And they were interviewing a bunch of the players and they were going around saying, who do you think the best player is? Who do you think the best player is? And I believe they were saying Kaká or Ronaldinho or whatever. And it came to Cristiano Ronaldo. The reporter puts the microphone in front of him and says, who do you think the best player in the world is? And he straight-faced looks at the camera and says, Cristiano Ronaldo. And that level of delusional self-belief is what got him to the point where he became the best player in the world, right? Like he undoubtedly became the best player in the world by winning the Ballon d'Or multiple times. And so you have to have like this delusional level of self-belief that you are going to make it, that you are going to be the best. Because without that, it becomes really difficult to do anything. There are 2 types of people in life. Those who believe they can, those who believe they can't. Generally, both are correct, right? Both those people will do exactly what they believe. I was talking to a friend of mine and he was talking to a driving instructor who was talking about their dream car. He was saying that his dream car was a McLaren F1, which, if you don't know, is a £20 million car. And she was like, oh, that's very expensive, isn't it? And he was basically saying like, nah, it's not that big of a deal. He asked her, what's your favorite car? Like, what's your dream car? And she says, my dream car is a Range Rover, but I've just accepted that I'm never going to have one. And so if we look at the flip side there, if you believe that you're never going to have something and you have that like consciously in your mind, then you ain't ever going to do it. Like there's a 0% chance that can come true, that can come true for you, because you're not going to be looking for it. You're not going to be trying to go for it. And you, even if you were to get on the track, like you wouldn't believe in yourself and back yourself. So if you don't have this delusional like level of self-belief, don't worry, because you can brainwash yourself into thinking that you do. That's how I first started. Now, there's a concept of fake it till you make it. And that doesn't mean like finance a car and buy a flashy watch and pretend that you've got a bunch of money. In my head, that means that you need to figure out what the ideal version of you that you're trying to become is like, right? So if let's say you're not very confident and you're not very good at public speaking, you need to think about, okay, who is this individual that is very confident, that is able to speak in front of people, that doesn't have anxiety, and that projects their voice well in a room, etc., etc. Who is this person? And then you need to pretend that you are that person. And if you keep on pretending and you keep on pretending, and every time you get up in a room and have to speak, and every time that you are feeling that anxiety, you pretend that you are that person and that you have no nerves, you have 100% confidence, then eventually you forget that you're pretending, and that just becomes how you act. So this same thing can be applied across all disciplines. Like if you believe that you are an athlete, and you truly believe that you had to take care of your body was a temple, everything that you do is to like nurture and to build muscle, then you're eventually going to end up just getting into really good shape because you have this delusional belief that you are an athlete, even though you are just a guy who used to be sitting on the sofa all day. And then the other way to sort of brainwash yourself into thinking this is surrounding yourself with other people or things that also think this. Now, unfortunately, when I moved back home from university, like I was sort of isolated from everybody apart from my family members. And so whilst most people were going out to clubs and going to uni and living the student life, I was sat at my desk without any friends really. And so the way that I surrounded myself with the right environment in order to grow myself was to digitally create that environment for myself with both people and with the content that you consume. Let's take these two people. Let's say they both have the same 5 best friends. But let's say one of them in their spare time watches Love Island and Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And the other one listens to business podcasts like How I Built This with Guy Raz, or listens to interviews with successful people that they're trying to emulate. Eventually, both of those people are going to mirror exactly what they are watching, right? And so that's exactly what I did, right? Instead of watching Love Island or reality TV or, trying to keep up with this nonsense, I thought, if I just surround myself digitally with the right mentality and people that I want to be like, and just watch enough of their interviews, eventually their mindsets, their ideologies will brainwash me and I will think in the exact same way. And that's exactly what's happened. I've watched pretty much every Donald Glover interview that there is. I've watched most of the Kanye interviews. I've watched a lot of Tyler, the Creator interviews. And now all of their mindset and the way that they think that they can do anything is completely me. I believe that too. I genuinely believe that there's nothing that I couldn't get good at if I tried hard enough. And that's probably because of, one, my parents sort of instilling that into me, which, okay, I'll take that one. I got a leg up in life. Cool. But also, I've literally surrounded myself with those sorts of materials for years now. So it's kind of impossible for me not to believe that. Just like if you were to tell yourself oh, I'm never going to be able to afford a Ferrari. And whenever you saw a Ferrari, you just think to yourself, it must be nice. You will instinctively believe that you do not deserve that. So the flip side of all of these things is very true. Okay, so that was it. That was enough about mentality. Now we're going to talk about how to actually get clients and my story first, and then I'll give you my advice. So if we rewind all the way back to 2021, my first client that I had, I believe, was a clothing brand owner who needed a video to promote a release that was coming up. Now, I made this video for £100 and I worked on it for the equivalent of £3 an hour, I think, £2 an hour. So a lot of work went into this video. And at the time, there was this big culture of people starting their own clothing brands and then needing videos in order to market the clothes. And they wouldn't, instead of having to do a big photo shoot and needing all the models and in fact, buying the products, they'd just hire somebody to do a cool animation, cool video in order to announce that the drop was coming or that the drop was live. So I saw a friend of mine doing that and he told me that he got paid doing that. And I was like, okay, let me just emulate this and run my own style on it. So the first job was that. And what I made sure he did was tag me in the video. So my account was tagged on there, and then in the caption as well, he put video by @thesapdog. And what that meant was any other small brand owners that saw that would be like, oh, I don't have the money to be able to order all the stock myself and to make videos. Let me just do the same thing that he's done, which is make an animation. And this is the guy who made it. So what you're doing there is you're giving people an exact idea of where you can be valuable for them. Because if we think about it, business is just about creating value and solving problems, right? So if you can give somebody a very specific example of exactly how you can help them, then they're far more likely to be able to hire you. A guy DM'd me today and said, how do I convince somebody in order to hire me? And I was like, there shouldn't be any convincing. Like, the work should speak for itself. And if I give you an example, let's say you want to paint the walls in your house, right? And I come up to you and I'm a painter. And you say, okay, I'm looking for you to paint all of the walls in my hallway. And I say, okay, yeah, I can do that. And then you say, okay, can I see some of your work? And I say, no, I don't have anything. And then you say, okay, well, have you got any qualifications or have you got any proof that you can actually do this? And you say, no, but I think I can do it. The painter isn't going to get hired, right? The painter isn't going to get hired. The only way that the painter would get hired would be if there was proof, right? If there was a recommendation from a friend, or if there was pictures and videos of their work, if there was concrete proof that this person could do the job. And so sometimes that's what you need. You don't need proof as in like, let me convince you and manipulate you into thinking that you need this. It's more as in, where is the concrete evidence that this person can get what I needed done? And so this was essentially my cycle to begin with. I would work in the underground clothing space, DM the people who ran the brand, because it was really easy. You go into the clothing brand, they're usually following one or two people. They're the people who run the brand. You just DM them and say, hey, I'm looking to make a video. Here's a video I made for another brand that's in the same space. Would you like one? And most people will say no. That's another thing you need to understand. Most people, when it comes to starting out, are not going to hire you. They're not going to want anything to do with you, really. And that's something that you just have to get over. The fact that you will be rejected and people are going to say no over and over and over again. And going back to the start, this is another characteristic that you're going to need if you want to be successful. Like, you have to be able to look at people saying no to you over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and not let it affect you. Not let it affect your ability to like keep on going. To give you an example of this one really hurt. This one really, really hurt at the time. I was doing podcast episodes and I was sending out invites to anybody who was inspiring to me. And so I found a concert photographer who had some really cool work, and I was like, you know what? I want to interview you. And so I sent him an email basically saying, look, I'm really inspired by your story. Would love to give you a platform to share it. And he said, yeah, I'm down. What kind of numbers are you running on the podcast? And I told him straight up that like the last episode did 11 plays and I got ghosted. The guy basically ghosted me because my podcast wasn't hot enough. And it hurt at the time. You know, I wasn't doing the podcast for the views. I wasn't trying to build the next big podcast. But having somebody just write you off because your work wasn't hot enough, like that hurts a lot. And you're going to have to get better at being able to deal with that and understand that just because somebody says no to you, that doesn't mean that you don't deserve to be there. That doesn't mean that you cannot win. It just means that they don't see the value in you yet. It just means that they don't need you yet. It just means that they might not like your stuff. And that's fine. That's totally okay. Because eventually, when you knock on enough doors and you keep on trying and you never give up, there will come an opportunity where somebody is going to say yes to you. And then that yes turns into a yes further down the line. And that turns into another opportunity further down the line. So if you give up on the first no, or the second no, or the third no, or the fifth no, or any of them no's, then you completely shoot down your any chance of you succeeding. You have to keep on going after getting the no's. So that was my method. I would post, they would post it on their page, they would tag me on the video, and after that, instantly people would have proof to see what I could do. I would then post that on my own page on Instagram. If I was doing that today, I'd probably be posting on TikTok as well if I needed to grow my client base. And I would have, it was a really weird feeling of anytime I'd post or a video of mine would come out on somebody else's page, I'd instantly have other brand owners hitting me up being like, hey, how much do you charge for a video? Can we do a video on this? Can we do a video on that? So the long and short of it is figure out like a niche that has a market for you. And this isn't just for 3D animation. This is for anything. Let's say you find an events company that does events and their posters suck and you want to be the person to go and do graphic design and go down that route. Then you could just make a poster or have posters in the bank that look very similar to what they're trying to go for, but way better. Send them the work and be like, hey, I'll work on this for you. And, you know, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say no, but somebody will say yes to you eventually. Now, the next way of getting clients is more about you as an individual and your ability to make friends, right? Because I don't like the word network. The word network has these LinkedIn awful, like entrepreneur vibes to it. And that's not what business or your career should be about. It shouldn't be about trying to use people and manipulate people and hop over this person. Like, and networking gives those connotations. So we're just going to be talking about making friends. And so the majority of my jobs, like the ones higher up where it's higher level clients and decently well paying, it's all just come because after I had a little bit of a body of work, I began to make friends with people who were in the same industry as me or who were in like a similar space to me. And eventually they would hire me or they would know somebody who needs to hire me. The first way I did this was through the podcast. Now, about 3 or 4, maybe more of the people that I had on my podcast actually went on to hire me to work on 3D animation stuff or on video editing. And I'd never seen this done before. Like, I'd never seen anybody make a podcast in order to network, to get hired. Like, that wasn't really my thought process. I was just like, I need to get tips on how to progress in my career. Let me listen to the people who are further along than me. And as a byproduct of that, they would just end up hiring me because I was a likable person, because I was interested in what they had to say, because I was friendly, right? We just became homies. Like, I didn't go into this thinking, oh, this is my master plan. We hopped on a call, we did an interview, most of them just kind of stopped there, some of them became friendships, and some of those friendships ended up hiring me. And even though it sounds really simple, like just make friends, have good social skills, if you think about it, this is what separates somebody like me from the thousands of artists who are begging and starving for jobs, right? I am somebody who has a pretty good level of technical skill, but I also have social skills. The majority of artists, or the majority of 3D artists, let's say, they will be very, very good at sitting down at a computer and getting the work done, like me. But what they aren't good at is talking to people, because generally people who are really good at sitting at a computer all day do not have the ability to talk to somebody. So if you can have both of those skills, fuse them together, then all of a sudden you're valuable. And if you're valuable, people will probably want to pay you in order to work on stuff. And both of those things are skills, right? They're both things that can be developed. Like, I didn't come out of the womb knowing how to speak English. Read How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's probably one of the best books that I read to begin with that helped me understand just how to be a good people person. And then just practice. Like, today I went for a walk and I started a conversation with 4 different strangers. One about ducks and what to feed them. One about their dog and how my mum has a similar dog to them. Another one about how their dog is really fluffy. And another one about this guy who was just sat on a bench and didn't look like he was from here, so asked him how his day was going, right? And those conversations there helped me just build my social skills. And so the more you can do that, the better that's going to serve you in your industry, because so many of my jobs have come down to other people who are in the same industry as me needing my help. They see that I'm good at 3D. They see that I'm not a nice person. And so naturally, when they want to have somebody to help them on a job, they're probably going to think of me. And I have earned thousands of dollars just from investing time in other people. And again, you don't do this from a sociopathic mentality of like, oh, I'm going to strategically become friends with him and it's like, no, you just genuinely become interested in your industry, in the art, in the people around it, in the projects that they're working on. And from there, the friendship will take care of itself. And one way or another, you might end up getting hired by them or by somebody who's hiring them to do something. Now, the final thing to talk about when it comes to getting clients is working for free. Now, I want to preface this by saying that working for free is very, very controversial. And I'm somebody that believes it's a good thing, but only when it's on your terms. Now, there are some people out there who say you should never work for free. Know your worth, they say. But I think that's kind of silly, because not all value is the same. You can get paid in money, you can get paid in experience, you can get paid in learning something, you can get paid in making a specific connection. And if you work for free on a job, sometimes the value you can get from one of those things is far better than just getting money for a job. A good example of that is back in 2021, when I was starting off, a crypto company hit me up and was like, hey, we're trying to give away free pizza, want to help us? And I was like, sure, and I worked on a bunch of stuff for them without ever expecting to see a penny. Fast forward to 3 months down the line, I met somebody who'd worked at ILM and did like visual effects on the Hulk movie and Transformers movies. I met somebody who was an animator and who'd worked with Disney. I ended up meeting a future client who was the first person to commission me for over $1,000. And on top of that, a few months later, I got paid for the work that I did on the project. And so all of those things were worth more than just getting paid a flat rate to work on the project. I'll give you another example. I can't share the name of the client because of privacy, but they had a job for me to work on, and it was just to be used internally. They didn't have any budget for it, and I was like, okay, let's take a chance. We'll do the job for free. Did the job for free, smashed it out of the park. And the same day that I finished that job, they then ended up hiring me to work on another project, and then since have hired me again to work on another project. And so yes, I didn't immediately see the fruits of my labor in money, but I got a great name on the portfolio, and I got more jobs further down the line that were paid. So now you're convinced that you need to work for free, but you have to do it on your terms. Do not work for free for somebody if they're telling you that you have to work for free. You have to be the one to decide whether you're going to get paid in money or in experience or in connections or whatever it might be. Do not let them push that onto you. I've had friends hit me up and say, like, rappers have hit them up and been like, yo dude, really love your stuff. Yeah, but when do you work for free, man? And it's like, that's just not how this works. You know, you have to be the one to offer that for free so that they feel like that they're getting like a favor from you. If they tell you you have to work for free and they're making you work for free, then you're just getting taken advantage of. And you're probably not going to end up getting that much out of the situation. So we've covered the mindset, we've covered how to get your first clients. What about making time to actually work on your thing? Anybody who tells me that they do not have enough time in order to do something is a liar and should stop watching this video immediately. In fact, you should stop watching this video and you should stare at a clock for an hour. Just get a chair, no music, no TV, nothing. Just stare directly at the clock for an hour. Do that and then tell me that you don't have enough time. The truth is that everybody has the same amount of time, and you choose to spend your time differently to other people. And I can already hear the excuses. I can already hear that, oh, I have a job, I have university, I have a little sister, I have a leg. I don't care, right? I literally don't care about any of those things because everybody else who managed to do something remarkable also probably had all of the things that you're describing. In fact, there are probably people out there who have achieved more than you who had less than you did to start off with. And yes, there are some responsibilities that you can't get rid of. Maybe you're 13 years old, 14 years old, you're in school, you can't drop out, fine. Maybe you have a kid and you have to look after them, fine. But if you have more than 2 hours a day of screen time and you're complaining about not having enough time, then you need to have a look at your priorities and understand that you are choosing to waste your time instead of working on your dreams. There's one more thing that most people can control, which is their living situation. If you do have the option to live with your family, live with your parents, whilst you are trying to make your thing work, do it. Like I said before, different jobs will provide you with different things. Some will give you money and experience. Other ones will just give you connections. And when you're first starting off, you do not want the pressure of having to make loads of money, because that'll mean you'll have to prioritize jobs that help you pay the bills over jobs that are going to help you build your career. If you can find a way to move back in with your parents, or you can reduce your expenses, or you can get rid of your financed car, then do it, because it's a very small sacrifice to make in the long term. If we look at like the scale of your goals and your dreams, moving back in with your parents for a year or two really isn't a big deal. For those people who are wanting to drop out or wanting to quit their job, do not quit without sufficient evidence that it's going to work. A big mistake people make is that they quit their job, they throw the papers up in the air, and they decide, right, I'm never doing that again, I'm going full in on the dream. Now, it might work in the movies, it might work for some people, but it's better to have a little bit of a safety net and also a reminder of what you have to go back to if things don't go well. When I moved back in with my parents, I had this fear, I had this drive, I had this dreading, impending doom that if I didn't figure out a way to make a living, if I didn't figure something out, I had to go back to university and suffer for 4 years. So hold that, hang it in the balance, and use it as a way to motivate yourself to keep on going. Because believe me, just because you're chasing your dreams, that doesn't mean that everything is like super fun and easy and cool. things are still gonna suck. They're just gonna suck in a different way. People have this idea of if you work a job that you love, you'd never work a day in your life. And I kind of get that, but things still suck. Like, I still do all-nighters sometimes to get a job done. I still take on jobs that I don't really care about just to pay the bills, right? Your problems do not go away. They just shift from one place into another. And if you do manage to make this into your full-time thing, you're gonna have the problem of having the thing that you love turn into your job and be the thing that you now make your money from. So it's no longer an option for you to do it. But don't worry about that. You can handle it further down the line. One more quality that I've noticed in very successful people is the ability to be self-critical. It's basically having the self-awareness to notice that there's a problem, notice that you've gone wrong, notice that you have a weakness, not let it affect your ego, and be able to tackle the problem to figure out how to make sure this doesn't become a hurdle in the future. Let's say you take on a job and you mess something up. You deliver it late, you don't hit the standard, whatever. If you can look at the details, if you can analyze where you went wrong, be honest with yourself, recognize your failures, recognize your shortcomings, only then can you change and improve yourself to ensure that you don't make that same problem again, or at least reduce the likelihood. If you are not willing to accept that you have to fail, you have to do things wrong, you have to mess up, you're probably going to be one of these people that just continues to make the same mistake over and over again and never learns, because they're not willing to admit that they went wrong, that they have weaknesses, that they have flaws, and that they need to change in order to get better. Okay, so let's do a summary of everything in the video. Believe in yourself. Surround yourself with media and books and people that affirm the beliefs that you are looking to implement. Learn a skill and find a way to create proof that you are the right person for the job. Find a way to cut down your expenses so you don't have to worry too much about making money. This can include moving in with your parents or taking sacrifices in your life. Improve your social skills and make friends who are on the same journey as you. And finally, accept that you do have flaws and that in order to be great, you have to accept that there is a risk of things going wrong. And it's okay to make mistakes as long as you make sure they don't define you and do what you can to learn from it so you don't repeat the same mistake over and over again. And with that, you should have everything you need in order to get started. The chances are that you probably don't need any more self-help books or YouTube videos anymore. You just need to sit down with a notebook in front of you, figure out what it is that you need to do, and just go and do that work. There's no more self-help books or YouTube videos or podcasts you could listen to that will help you more than just sitting down and getting the work done. If you've gotten this far in the video, I want you to go on Instagram and I want you to send me the words Optimus Prime. That will make me know how many people actually watched the end of this video and how many people this video can actually help. And if you have any other questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram and I'll do my best to either respond to it or make a video on it. I've said my piece, I've done my part, the rest is all down to you. I believe in you. I do believe in you. If you've watched the end of this video, you've got a good attention span, so you've got a chance. I believe in you. You got this. Peace.